right, welcome to another episode of the LogiCast. My name is BlankaKong, joined by Mr.Esoteric Skills, Gunner Eos, and Zeta Kaiser. Today's topic is going to be about Armor Core, and we're gonna answer the question of many questions. Primarily, is Armor Core too hard? Is Balteus too hard? We're going to look at some achievement and trophy data and some Steam achievement data as well, and figure out where are the walls, so to speak, or the wall climbers, if you will, and just discuss the game, discuss the spikes of difficulty, and whether or not the game is too hard for people. I've beaten the game. I'm on my second playthrough. I know Gunnar has beaten the game.
Yes.
How many playthroughs did you go through?
Just the initial one. I didn't get that far in the new game
Second
plus.
run through. Okay.
Yeah.
I know Zeta Kaiser. I think you beat the game as well, right? And I know Esoteric is about halfway, a little over halfway, about 60% through his first playthrough. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I'm the odd man out, but it's okay. It's only because of stream reasons.
Yes, so if you're interested in watching a fresh playthrough, check out Mr. Esoteric on the Logical Gamers TV Twitch channel. Link is in the description. He streams 2 to 3 times a week. He's currently playing Armor Core, at least at the time of the recording. So definitely check out that playthrough. It's pretty fun to watch. So we'll just answer the first question. So is Armor Core too hard? My initial opinion is no, it is not too hard. But some people would probably disagree with that statement. So, the most common wall that people talk about is actually Balteus, right? For those who don't know, that's the boss who has like the giant baby stroller thing with all the missiles that come out, right? It has giant shields. That's that guy. It's a pretty intimidating boss. He did give me a hard time. I'm not gonna lie. He was definitely the first real wall that I encountered where I had to actually like look at my build and try new things and try different approaches and all that. And I might have lost to him about 20 times before I actually got the kill. 20, 25 times, something like that. But he was definitely a challenge. And I think that was by design. I think he was meant to be, that first hurdle of like forcing the player to really rethink what their build is and what their build wants to be, and forcing the player to be okay with changing the builds for the situation that they're faced with. So let's look at some achievement data real quick. So let me just pull it up here. So this was me and the guys. We have a group chat or whatever, and we share achievement stuff and articles and things of that nature. And so Zeta Kaiser shares some of the achievement data for the trophy or the achievement Contact. He plays on Steam. He's on PC. And this was maybe the first week of the game's launch. Contact, 60% of players on Steam on PC cleared that trophy. So had about a 40% drop off. Now, recently we just had a patch from Software that debuffed Balteus. I don't know what they debuffed about him specifically. I'm assuming damage and health. But after that debuff, the player count or the achievement count shot up to, let me just pull it up, give me a moment here. I think it was like 60.
Is this the other one? Be the 67? Wait, no,
That's
the wrong one.
Xbox achievements. Yeah, that's
yours. No mind, I'm lying. This is on me. I should have named these.
It's okay.
Would have been a lot easier.
So I think that
do it live.
I remember. I recall it being like closer to 50% from memory. It being like a 50-50 drop off, because that was an ongoing joke. We were like, "Oh, are you a part of the half that beat Balteus or the half that did it?"
Yeah.
And
You referenced that when I was playing on stream and I beat him, and you was like, "Yes, you're a part of the 50 club." So
yeah, because it's a huge drop off from the first boss to this, or from Wall Climber.
Like, so Wall Climber was a big was a wall. Funny enough for many people, which I get it. I can see why that was tough. That wasn't a boss that you could just like bash your head in and just do it, right? So let me look at the achievement data. So Wall Climber, at least on Xbox, Wall Climber on Xbox has about that's weapon collection 78% completion rate, and Contact, which is Balteus, dips to 61%. This is after the buffs, so I know it was at like 52, 53%, something like that. Seeing about almost a 10% increase on Contact, which is pretty like eye opening.
Yeah,
So
that's not a small
that's not a
amount to
small
be
number. That's
double
pretty
percent.
huge, right? I don't know how many people came back after the buff or whatever, but like just to see that increase is pretty substantial. Um, and if we look at like re-education, this was September 11th. This was 3 days ago. So on Steam, it was at 39%. That was like one of the last missions. So like if you had gotten to that point, you made it pretty far.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
But the fact that people stopped around there, I mean, if you know the mission, I get it, but I don't know.
At that point, you might as well like you stuck this far.
Yeah, one would assume you have like a decent understanding of the game at that point. Definitely at that point.
Yeah.
I also wanted to talk about the differences between the platforms. So, like re-education, as of 3 days of this recording, on Steam it was 39%. And Esoteric hasn't reached this point yet, so he will eventually. I know he has the ability to beat the game, so I'm not concerned. But yeah, 30 what was it? 39.7%. We'll just round up and say 40%. On Xbox it's 29%. And on
Damn.
PlayStation, it's at 37%. So that's an interesting difference. Like PlayStation and Steam is pretty close. Xbox is a huge fall off.
Them X Bros is just like, nah, I'm done with this mecha stuff.
Yeah. So
Like, okay.
listen, I already admitted that Baltes gave me a hard time. I remember.
Yeah.
I think he gave most of us a hard time.
Yeah,
Oh no, God.
Oh yeah,
This is
I-
not easy.
absolutely.
I had to come back the next day for him. I was like,
Oh,
my
okay.
PS5 is too expensive. Let me go to bed. I came back and I beat him. That was my experience. So
That's essentially what I did too.
I ain't claiming I'm a god and I beat him on my second try. No.
Yeah, no.
Okay, so I know when I first fought him, I had just like the standard rifle that they give you in the beginning of the game, because rifle proved to be pretty strong, so I saw no reason to change it. I had the laser sword in my other hand, and then I had just like missile launchers on my back. That wasn't working out for me. And then after just getting my ass pounded, and getting him to the second phase, to where you get him 50% health and he starts doing that flamethrower slash attack thing, I couldn't get to that point without having no repair kits or anything. So I'm like, okay, well, I need to change something. This shield is really like delaying me, so I need to try something different here. So started messing with some other weapons, and that's when I discovered plasma. Typically in Armored Core games, I'm more of a kinetic guy, but like in this one, I've leaned heavy into plasma weapons. I don't know what it is, but plasma weapons are a lot of fun in this game, and they're really effective. And so I changed my guy. I still had the beam saber, because that I think that's probably the best melee weapon in the game. It has such a wide range.
Yeah.
The hitbox is so wide, and it does a lot of damage. So why change it? Then I put the little satellite dish gun in my right hand to destroy his shield, and then I had the plasma missile launchers on my back, the ones that shoot the purple energy, and I just kept just spamming it, just like just throwing all the energy balls at him until the shield went away, and then I would do the plasma sword to get the real.
Oh
damage.
shit! We had the same exact build, because I had the two rocket launchers that shot plasma upwards and then they come down. I had the DirecTV satellite gun to fucking shoot bubbles, because I was like, how can I get through this guy's plasma shield? And then when I was reading the weapons, they were like, this gun is specifically designed to counter a plasma shield. So I was like, all right, fucking slot this shit in.
So
The beam saber, because it was just the highest damage I had at the point, And yeah, I just every time I hit him with the bubbles, I would just rush him with Bean Saber and pelt them with missiles. Eventually,
So
that's how I got the
me and you
W.
had the same strategy, and we didn't discuss this beforehand.
No.
And I want to just make a quick nod before Esoteric and Zeta reply. The game teaches you that because the mini boss that you fight right beforehand has the gun with the fucking
Yeah.
direct TV bubbles.
Yeah.
So that's I'm just gonna say it's good game design. Makes sense. The game taught you. It showed you the
No.
answer.
It's bad
But-
game design because it didn't tell you outright that you should use this weapon specifically for this situation.
Well, it did, not in a direct way, but it did.
It
Exactly.
foreshadowed it by that enemy utilizing it. But we ourselves, well, personally for me, I didn't have a shield. So I know that it probably is useful for actually utilizing the shield, but I wasn't using the shield. I was just pretty much out there exposed and just shooting stuff. So I wouldn't have caught that direct correlation if I would have caught it actually if I had a shield. I would have paid attention to it more if I had a shield. Because it'd be like, well, why is he breaking it in just one go? It's like, oh, it's because of that goddamn gun. So, yeah.
Yeah, you kind of went in because you streamed it.
You didn't equip any of the.
You fucking unga bunged the shit out of that.
Yeah, you went
mission.
worse than me. Like I wasn't even that bad. I unga bunged the fight. I didn't do what the other two guys did. I changed up the mech and everything, like because I have like a more of a medium sized build, so I have the laser rifle in one hand and either the blade or just the regular freaking kinetic rifle in the other hand, and then missiles. So I have a little bit of everything. I have a shield on one side, the laser gun, for kinetic rifle, and then the missiles.
Okay, so we all ended up unanimously utilizing some beam sword in some way, shape, or form. How I started was I had a light build.
Oh no, I
and
didn't use the beam sword for this. I gave up on that.
Oh, you gave up on the beam sword?
No,
Okay,
I had the laser. I had the laser, like the actual plasma laser, the gun.
Oh, okay, got you.
The laser rifle,
So,
which is my main weapon, by the way. Love the laser rifle.
So just to roll it back, right? So I started off with a fast build because my gimmick was going to be mobility. When it comes to games with all these different things coming at you and stuff like that, I felt like mobility would be the most important because evasing it, if I don't get hit, I'll be all right. But then I had to take into consideration, well, this is a ammo management based game. So if you're out of ammo, you're pretty much shit out of luck. So I started to realize that as I was fighting Balteus, then I made a couple of adjustments. So I went to a little more beefier build, kind of like a in between heavy and like standard, like balance. And then what I utilized was I had one grenade launcher in one hand, and then I had a rocket launcher in the other hand, and then I had missiles. So it was working really effectively against him. His shield was going down pretty fast, but the reload time was taking a bit too long for me. So there was times where I would break his shield and I wouldn't have nothing prepared to fire at him, which ultimately caused me to like pretty much lose time and lose rounds because again, once you lose your rounds for any gun, you're SOL. So then I had to adjust the build even more, and I ended up utilizing still the grenade launcher along with the beam sword that has a strong AoE attack. And then I shifted to the plasma missiles on each shoulder, and that's what got him. Like it was like amazing. So that's what I went with. I feel as though like he's definitely a hurdle. He was challenging, but he definitely got overcome once you decide to like kind of step back, not do the same thing that you've done before, because that's insanity. Doing the same thing, expecting a different result. And just kind of pivot away from what you were typically using for the first couple of stages. So the fight essentially taught me like, don't fall in love with just one build. You need to have others lined up for situational purposes.
Yeah.
You could fall in love with one build. All my meta slaves. Y'all know what we're talking about. Y'all know, but
Well,
you
yeah.
don't even have the meta at that point.
No, not yet.
Yeah, the shotguns you get are fuck. Well, I think
Trash.
they're better now. I think
They got a buff, but
yeah, okay, they were garbage.
Before they were garbage. It was just like, why would I ever use this?
Yeah, so like, but that's the thing though. Like, This is why I like this particular armor core, because there was no there was no over leveling, there was no out grinding the boss. You could have grinded missions and bought everything in the shop up until chapter 2. You could have done that, but if there wasn't a level of skill applied to it, you still weren't clearing him. You could have bought every body piece, every generator, gun, shoulder. It didn't matter. But like I feel like we're fucking the flaming bull from Sekiro all over again, where that bull was relatively early in the game's life, or the game's like progression, and I guess From Software considered it too hard of a wall where you were at that stage in the game. But it's just like, I don't know. I don't think so. I mean,
It's happened a few times. So it's happened with Sekiro on the Bull. It's happening now with Armor Core and Balteus, and it also happened with Radon in Elden Ring.
Oh, really? Okay,
Yeah,
I didn't know.
they nerfed Radon about 3 weeks into the game's release. A lot of people were complaining about Radon, like he was too strong.
Oh, wow.
But I mean, luckily I'm a Front Software guy. Like I buy their games day one. I usually play the hell out of them in that first week or two. So I got to experience true Balteus. I got to experience the true Bull from Sekiro and true Radon in Elden Ring.
yeah.
And I don't know, like those 3 bosses were hard. Like I'm looking back, all 3 of them were difficult. All 3 of them gave me, a little bit of rage for sure, but I overcame them. Like
I mean, like that should apply to like all of us, like with like the exception of one boss, which Esoteric isn't there yet. I mean, I had to sit back a couple, not as much, but I still had to sit back and be like, all right, how do I get over this? Because I'm not winning the way I want to win. So I have to do something different. At the bare minimum, I have to change something around. Like either I have to make myself faster, or I have to use a different type of weapon. Something has to change, or I have to pay more attention to what's going on around me. It's like that's
Yeah.
every fight I've had to do that, with the exception of one, and that's
Yeah,
because it was not really a fight.
well, I don't know if we're thinking of the same one. I don't want to spoil anything for Esoteric
Well, we can
either,
say
but
the
there
name,
was,
so I'm assuming it's Cell 240, right?
God, I don't know.
I don't know his name. That's the problem.
There was a lot of red involved.
The
He was
Coral
predominantly
Boss. The Coral Boss.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, him.
Yeah.
He was when I was like, you know what? I don't want to have fun anymore. I want to win. Let's put another Zimmerman in the hand. Let's get another fucking needle gun. And I beat him on the moment I switched to that meta build. I beat him on the first try. But like to me, he was way more rage-inducing than Balteus ever was. At least to me.
Oh yeah.
Well,
There are 3 spikes in the game, in my opinion. Balteus is the first one, Cell 240 is the next, and then the final boss.
okay,
Those are
so
the 3 walls.
so from what I'm reading, because I'm looking at an article, it will be listed in the description. It's from Polygon.com. So they, what they're saying is they adjusted certain attacks performed by enemy units. They're talking about Balteus AAP-07, IA-13 is Sea Spider, and the one that I missed out on is Cell 240. So they adjusted him. I will not get the original form of him. So that's very disappointed because I take pride in beating things in its untouched final form or whatever, so to speak.
You'll
For
have
lack
to
of a better
play offline
terminology.
and turn off the patch if you want it.
Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
you could uninstall the game, go offline, and just install the 1.0 version, and you'll get them back to normal.
That is a good point.
That's really unfortunate. So like according to the article, the 1, 2, 4, fourth paragraph, Balteus homing missiles are slightly less accurate. Cell 240 does less damage with certain attacks following the patch. Sea Spider now takes more damage from all weapon types, but is now much more vulnerable to energy and explosives. So they nerfed the hell. And Sea Spider was actually another ball I forgot
Yeah,
about.
so all right, so
So-
Esoteric was right when he was like,
Yeah.
wow, I didn't know all that.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Yeah.
But I guess all the focus was on freaking Balteris because that's as far as people
Yeah,
got.
you won't see Sea Spider unless you beat Balteus.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
so
luckily for those two, I managed to as far as I recall, I managed to beat them in their purest form. Cell, again, unfortunately, that won't be the case. But
He was
Sea
almost
Spider
there.
wasn't a wall for me. Sea Spider, I would say it took a minimum of maybe like 6 tries or something. I
He
beat
he
him. I
got
beat him that
me.
same day.
Yeah, he got me. He took a while too, and I think I was just playing too safe with him. Once I got hyper aggressive, I noticed that at least me personally, I noticed for a lot of bosses, once I got hyper aggressive, like in your face, my results were a lot better. I started
Mhm.
having better results.
Yeah.
I guess I was playing it too much like a Gundam fight, where we're just lobbing laser beams at
Just
each
shooting at each
other.
other, hoping.
Yeah, it's like, no, I'm gonna fucking punch you with my metal fist.
I mean, I
Yeah.
did that for most. I only had to give up on that when it was like when you had to fight like other AC pilots. When it was like 2-on-1, it's like, oh, okay, well, I don't want to be near anybody right now. I want to be as far away as possible.
So
Like already when it's one AC pilot, I don't want to be next to you because I nothing. This is how it is. You get stunned a lot faster than they get stunned, and it's way more punishing for you to get freaking stunned than it is for them. Like they get stunned and they'll still dash somehow. I get stunned, I just stand there and I'm just like contemplating life.
Yeah, I noticed that. Like, I'll charge up attacks, and the bar's still blinking red, which
Yeah, but they
indicates they
move.
should be stunned, but they still dash. I'm like, whoa, what
yeah,
kind of fucking chip you got? Can I get it?
Yeah, yeah.
that that has happened to me several times. But I have a question, right? So in regards to this topic, I noticed that they have a couple of bosses, some of which I've defeated, and others. Well, it's just one other where they've made adjustments and I haven't gotten to as of yet. So my thing is, as we looked at the numbers, as basically the higher you go up the mountain, the harder the wind blows, is so to speak. Meaning that the further you go, you progress through the game, the fall off point becomes higher and higher and higher. So my question is, did they actually have sufficient enough data uh, to determine that Sea Spider and Cell 240 required a nerf? Because a lot of people fell off from Balteus, which means that a substantial amount got to Balteus. However, that number was significantly marginalized for Sea Spider and Cell 240. So I'm basically asking, like, do you guys think that they had some sufficient enough data to say, like, holy shit, these two bosses were way too hard?
Yes,
No.
I think so.
Oh,
I think
all
the
right.
trophy data supports that. So like we talked, and Zeta, you can debunk me or fact check me if you want or right after. But yeah, I think so because those bosses are all linked to a trophy. So Balteus is linked to Contact. Um, Wall Climber is obviously linked to Wall Climber. Sea Spider is linked to Ocean Crossing, and I think Cell 240 is linked to. Let me see if I can. No, Cell 240 isn't linked to a trophy. Um, so with Cell 240, maybe not, but because I know Cell 240 is after the Ice Worm. Right?
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. So
Isn't it
Okay.
this one? No, that's something else. Never mind. Because I was gonna say, isn't it the into
the
unknown
threat?
territory? But no, that's not it.
No, that's actually that's after.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
that's
because
before. That's before.
the reason I asked is due to the fact, like, okay, let's say we're dealing with a raw number of 100, right? If Balteus, the fall off point was 50%, that's
Oh
50
no, it is.
people
It
that.
is. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Re-education is the one linked because right after that, that's when. Okay, so
Okay.
re-education. So that's the trophy that's linked to that. So I think they did have enough data, because the because the trophies are progression based. They're not like they're static trophies. You'll get them if you just play through the game.
Yeah.
I think they saw that data and they saw the drop off and they're like, whoa, we want to keep our player base. Our player base is already so small compared to other games. We want to kind of give people a little boost. So I think so, but I'll let you finish your point, Esoteric. My bad.
Oh, no, it's cool. The reason why I was asking, because like if you look at, let's say, just we'll round off an easy number like 100 for the like raw number. 50 people fell off Balteus because it's 50%. Now you have the other 50 that's still there, right? So I'm not sure what the percentage was for Sea Spider, but let's say if that's another 50%. That means you only had like 25 people who were able to beat Sea Spider versus 25 who weren't able to. So I'm just saying, like, the amount of people that fell off overall pertaining to the whole number of people, would that be sufficient enough? Because those people, let's say they nerfed Balteus and those 50 guys went, or girls, excuse me, went
You
into
better watch it. We got female
yeah,
hardcore
I
players
know,
out there.
I don't, I'm just saying, I meant guys as in, everyone. So let's say those 50 people, they took another stab at Balteus and then moved up to Sea Spider. Like, we don't have that information, that data to determine whether or not they would have been able to beat Sea Spider because they never got up to him. So if they were to not nerf Balteus and then try Sea Spider, maybe that data would have been somewhat different for them to determine whether or not, hey, well, maybe we don't need to nerf Sea Spider because those 50 people only had an issue with Balteus, but they conquered Sea Spider with ease, or with less contention.
Well, there's also
You see
other
what I'm
data
saying?
too. So like streamer Asmongold, he streamed and he spent 7 hours bashing his face into the wall against Sea Spider because he refused to change his build. 7 hours.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
so there's also data like that where it's like, big streamers or whatever, they'll look. I'm sure From Software watched all of that shit, right? And they wanted to see this guy's like actual, first impressions or whatever. And he beat it as soon as he changed his build. The following like day or 2 days later, he beat him like in the first or second try, like nothing,
Mhm.
right?
Okay.
So I think there is data out there that influenced their decision to debuff and buff certain weapons. But I know Zeta, you had a point. You disagreed.
No,
You
I
said
mean,
there wasn't enough
he,
data.
no, I mean, Esoteric basically went through it because that's what I was going to say. Is just like the data that they would, or at least I'm assuming, anyways, the data they would be going off of would be the same. The data of, okay, of the people who finished Balteus, visas. This is who made it to the next step. So it would just be a lower amount, just by pure proxy of, well, we only have 40 something percent, and now only like however many of these people just made it even further down. Because like if you compare what you call it, freaking wall climber to about this, like it's like a huge amount, like it's really big,
Yeah, it's
like
like a
it's like
20% drop off. Something like.
yeah, like it's a huge amount. So like the Severus is like, okay, there's a clear, like something clearly happened here, which is like we discussed earlier, like we didn't even realize that the other bosses got nerfed because everybody's just been talking about Balteus. It's like
Yeah, yeah.
this has been the main sticking point. Like this is all everybody knows about because like, well, nobody else has made it to the other ones to know that they would be hard or to
Yeah.
acknowledge that they would be difficult. Like every article and everything has been about Balteus. Nothing like if he didn't read out that line, I would have had no idea. I just knew Balteus got nerfed and some of the other weapons got buffed because people weren't using them, like the beginning rifles and some of the other shotguns. Well, not some, a lot of the other shotguns.
Yeah. Hence
Like,
why I say that the numbers are a bit like skewed and you know um
I
uh,
mean, if I want to put my gatekeeping hat away for a minute, like I could agree
never.
with I could agree with Balteus to a certain extent because it's the same argument as the bull, right? Except it's even harsher because in Sekiro, you could maybe grind. I mean, you'd be there forever, but you could grind out. Just gonna use souls. I forgot the currency that they use, but essentially souls to level yourself up. Armor core, you can't. There is no level ups,
Nope, your
right?
level up is you.
Right. The parts you have are the parts you have, and what I like about the game is that we all have the same parts, same exact time. So I think from what From Software saw was that okay, with what the players have access to at this point in the game, maybe Balteus is a bit too much. Like you can 100% beat him. Obviously, people have done it. We have all done it, but you kind of have to like look at the whole for certain situations. And I think from where Balteus is in the story, it is a little bit harsh.
yeah, I can agree with that. I feel like the elevation of difficulty like just skyrocketed. Like you just started feeling the cold air on the mountain, and then now you're like in the freaking stratosphere, gasping for air.
Right, and then
from
the
wall climbing to
abominable
Balteus.
snowman comes out of a cave and fucking punches you in the face. Cause
Yeah.
let's look at the bosses before Balteus. It's the helicopter, which you have to beat. We all have the same gear, same everything. There is no, you either beat them or you don't.
Well, you can't be anything else even if you go back because I wanted to S and I couldn't get it.
So
You have
like,
to use that mech.
Ru-
Anyways,
yeah, like so you have the helicopter, you have the fucking weird looking tank thing, but that one you have the help of everybody's favorite buddy, Rusty. So he
Oh, the
helps you.
Juggernaut you're talking about. The
Yeah,
Juggernaut.
he helps you for like I want to say 50% of its
First half.
HP.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then by then one would think, oh, okay, this is what the boss does. He does change up his pattern. He starts dropping mines, but other than that, he still rushes and shoots, rushes and shoots. So you should know what you have to do at that point. And then after him, it's Balteus, correct? That's like the next major.
That's like the next major boss. Yeah.
He ends chapter like so. If you look at the bosses up until Balteus, they're difficult, yes, but manageable. Like one is you have to do it or return the game immediately. Oh, and the second one is you have an NPC that helps.
100%, and that was by design. So
Yeah.
for up to well, let me just read some of the. So this is after the buffs, or after the debuffs of the bosses. So Operation Wall Climber on Xbox has a 78% win ratio. So 22% of gamers didn't even make it to Wall Climber. So presumably, either there's probably a big chunk of these people who didn't even beat the helicopter. And then for PlayStation, it's 78%. So about the same. So about 22% of players, checked out. They didn't get. They probably got to Wall Climber, and that Juggernaut was the wall, or they simply couldn't beat the helicopter. But what I was gonna say is I didn't change my build until after Wall Climber, and I remember I was playing with my little my little brother was watching me play, and he was just like, "How are you able to you got to change your build?" And I'm like, "Nah, I can beat him with what I have. Like I can totally beat him because he has very clear weak points. He has a very clear pattern. I just have to not get hit by the mines, avoid the missiles, and avoid the dash. That's it, and then just dash behind him and get the damage in." And I beat him, and Balteus was the first boss to really go, "No, you're not beating me until you figure out build. You have to build for me. There's no. I would love to see the person who beats him with the base mech. That would be impressive." So I don't know. Is Balteus too much for that point in the game? Probably, but I think if I hope I'm correct. I think it was by design. I think they put Balteus there to really separate the men from the boys and go, okay, listen, Armor Core is about constantly changing your mech and constantly changing and adapting to your situation. You cannot get comfortable with the one thing. You have to branch out. And that's the meat and the potatoes of the game, right? You have the ideas to get new gear and get new weapons and try new things out. Otherwise, then what are we doing? We're just blazing through the game. They don't want that kind of experience. That's why I love this game. Personally, I love Monster Hunter because it's a skill-based game. Not skill-based as in there's this attack level or you can level up. No, it's you get better. You, the player. And in Armor Core is the same thing. You, the player, must get better. And I personally love that. So I agree. Balteus nerf, I get it. But the nerf on Cell 240 or the Sea Spider, I think is a little much.
I think Sea Spider by that point you should have a firm grasp of the game, the mechanics, the weapon types. You should be comfortable changing your build by then. You have a couple AC fights if you've done the arena under your belt. You understand the chips, the OST chips. You should understand that. So I don't really get the Sea Spider nerf so much. It's kind of disappointing that that's a thing. But Balteus I can understand.
Yeah, the thing is about Balteus is that he really woke me up. From the beginning till him, I would say from the beginning to the wall kind of made me sit up slightly, but Balteus had my full attention. Like it was really difficult for me to talk during stream. Like I really had to just like focus and just pay attention to him, because if I didn't, I would make the worst moves. Like the subtle differences in movement made a huge impact for my progression. Like if you're taking direct hits with the missiles, it takes significant amount of damage, whereas you're still going to get hit by the missiles, but they're just grazing you, so it's taking a significantly less damage. Like just little things like that. His flamethrower, just following the patterns. Like when he go into the second phase, even though I have the footage, there were times where he just started using the flamethrower before even going to his second phase. Like he went out of nowhere with that. Um, how he would typically start off is he'll start firing and moving to his left, and then he'll proceed to use the flamethrowers, and then he'll start shooting rockets in the air and try to cut you off with the flamethrower. If you know how to like just maneuver that, you're pretty much good. And then it's rinse and repeat with some unique attacks, because he does have like a napalm strike that he has on the floor, or that he uses the flamethrower to kind of coat the floor, so you have to like float and use your thrusters to stay there,
Yeah, you gotta jump up.
things like that. But this is a very like the most important thing about this game is that it's a perception based game. Like you have to be aware of your surroundings. You have to be willing to figure out what works from what doesn't work. So you have to read and study the opponents, because you're not just fighting regular drones. You're also fighting pilots who have the same abilities as you, which is why I love the I don't recall what it's called, but it's basically Arena Quest, where the what is it called? Basically those simulations where you're fighting.
It's just the arena.
Yeah,
They're
arena.
Oh, it is
Yeah.
the arena. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
What All Mine calls them is some of a complicated crap, but it's just the arena.
gotcha. But I love those missions because it gives me an understanding of how they utilize their builds, and it also teaches me like, well, if I want to apply what they have, because all the parts that they have I have access to, I can utilize that as well. And I'm studying their movements to determine whether or not, oh, this weapon might be good for me. Like I used to just sit there and shit on the tank builds, but they were kicking my ass in the arena because they're able to rotate, 360 no problem. They can run away from you and still be firing at you without, moving backwards. The game is amazing. It's challenging, but you can definitely overcome. Um, I don't. I can see where the nerf for Balteus was needed, but personally, I think with enough perseverance, you could have. I mean, I am a living example of it. With enough perseverance, we all are. With enough perseverance, we can definitely overcome Balteus with no problem. You just got to be persistent, be willing to adjust, and read what's happening, essentially.
Yeah, but
Time for the gatekeeping hat. No. Because as Mr. BlankaKong has said earlier with Asmongold, he spent 7 hours trying to do something because he refused to change. And I feel that is the real hurdle of what happened with Baltez is people didn't want to change. They wanted to use what they wanted to use and wanted that to just work. It's not like I wasn't the same way. I was like that for the last boss, because I was just like, I hate you so much. I just want you to die. But I kept going through different changes and builds to try and figure out, like, all right, what is it going to take for me to fucking beat your ass so I can finally end this goddamn game? Because I'm tired of fighting you. And I did that a couple times with a couple of fights where it was just like, I just want you to die, but I can't. You're not dying with what I'm using, so I have to adjust. I have to figure out what it's going to take for me to win, because I want to win ultimately.
yeah.
I agree. I think some of that was the stubbornness, but I think a overwhelmingly margin of it was just ineptitude. Like,
Well,
you
that too,
know,
if you don't pay attention, because like I know, like the missiles. I'm not sure how everybody else. Well, no, you all said it. You had to get in his face, but like that was how I fought Balteus just as a whole. Like I had a more lightweight mech with the freaking, the fucking double jointed legs, so I could just fucking bunny hop all the way into the sky. But every
That
time
didn't work for me.
every
That did
time
not work for me.
I had to switch, so that's what I did. But every time they use missiles, I dashed into them because the missiles realistically aren't going to track back into itself. And I'm sure, but the natural
They
reaction
do.
is
They
to
can.
What game are
But
you playing? Because they came after my ass. Like I moved forward and they circled around and hit
no.
me.
Well, I mean, what I would do is I would go to the side so that they would start tracking me that way, and then I dashed inwards because they can't do it again. Like there's very few missiles that like the only one I know that like sticks onto you is only one missile, and that's the test pilot guy. Like he has a missile that it stays on you. Like it doesn't want to let
Oh
go.
yeah. I know
Like
you
his
talking
missile
about
just
the.
doesn't care. It will just spin there 360. Just like, and I looked at it like, are you really doing this? Like, like what? This is not how missiles work. But his did. But
Well, his
everything
was
else,
significantly slower.
yeah, yeah, that's what I mean. Like, but most other missiles, like they'll track you at a certain point, but then if you go into it, like so not like directly head on, but like as it's trying to curve into you, like once you go forward, generally they don't follow anymore. Like they can't circle again. Like they'll try, but they'll just keep going in another direction.
Man, I don't know what you were playing, man, because that was not working for me. Like I was trying to figure out the trajectory. I even
Well,
analyzed the point where when he does the whole like when he engulfs himself with rockets and then they proceed to come at you. I noticed
that
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 they
was
even
that
come
was my
at
favorite part because
waves.
I'm like, cool, this is free damage because I'm going to stay right here, and as soon as the missiles move, I'm just going to jump straight up because they're all going to try and follow me, and I'm going to be too high with the double
Oh
jointed
my
legs.
god. I tried that and I was getting wrecked.
if you dash too early, then you don't. Yeah. So like I wouldn't. So I went with bipedal legs for most of my first playthrough. I had just had two legs, and I gave my mech anything that gave me the max HP. I was like, yep, we're putting that shit on. So I had a lot of HP. So my mech wasn't super slow. Like I wasn't tank slow, but I was pretty like
Beefy.
I was super beefy for sure. So I had to wait. I had to be real patient. So if you dash like forward and the missiles bypass you, they're just gonna loop back and hit you in the back of your head.
Yeah,
So
it
you
happened to
have
me
to
a lot.
like keep that in mind. Go, okay, I got like 3 seconds before them shits hit me right now. And so like you have to dash forward and then like dash to the side or dash up or something like that, or boost forward or something like that. So what I would do is I mean, even when he would do it, I would be close enough to where it's like the missiles have to go somewhere. They have to go forward first. So I'm always gonna see them, and then at that point, I just kind of zigzag and dash around them. So for me, that's what I did, and that worked for me. That boss fight was really important on teaching me how to like track my
Maneuver.
enemy,
Yeah.
because up until that point, everything was pretty slow. Like the Juggernaut and Wall Climber, the AC units that you fought in the wilds, so to speak. Like those units are pretty like trackable, and it was like, oh, okay, this is pretty easy. But
That
like
and or
this
if they
guy,
were doing something, is like the screen is yelling at you like, "Hey, stupid, something's about to happen."
yeah, you would get all the signals or whatever. But like this guy was zipping, he was zooming. And I was like,
Oh
oh
yeah.
shit! Like he forced you to engage aerial combat. Like you had to like at least at least be evasive in the air. You didn't have to fight him in the air if you didn't want to, but like you definitely had to like jump in the air and like maneuver in the air. So that boss battle was important for that too, teaching you like, hey, listen, aerial combat's important in this game, and if you don't do it in this fight, you're gonna fucking lose because he's just gonna
Especially
barrage you.
especially when he crosses you up. Like he'll just dash right past you and he
Mm-hmm.
won't be directly behind you. He'll just like kind of sway to either the left or right and you're
Mm-hmm.
literally trying to turn around to get him and he's just blasting you with
And he'll shoot
rockets
the
and
heavy
Oh,
missile. Like
yeah, I
at that
hate
point,
that
he's
one
like, "Oh,
yeah.
so
here's a
much.
big motherfucker," and he shoots it to the ground. Again, so if you're a grounded guy, you're just like dashing around on the ground, you're gonna
That's
get
because
hit.
you're gonna get hit because the splash is just gonna be too big.
The splash is gonna,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
splash is enough to
Not
do
to mention he
significant
had a
damage.
he had a shotgun too. He knew.
Yeah.
He knew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He knew the meta. Because he would just zip behind you and then just blast you in the back, and you'd get. I would get insta stunned. Like
Yep.
if I got caught in that, I'm getting stunned.
You know what? I
Guaranteed.
forgot about that because it only happened a couple of times, and because I died to that. I forgot about the shotgun because
Yeah.
it only did it like once or twice, and I was like, you have a fucking shotgun? Why? Why do
Oh
you
yeah,
have this?
he bucks you twice and then he'll proceed to just shoot like his
His
assault
fucking
rifles.
bazooka. Like
And then,
with me, if he bucks you with the shotgun, he's like bazooka time, bitch. You ain't going nowhere.
He,
You
at that
eating
point,
this shit.
he could go get lunch and come back because you're just there forever, and he's like,
Yeah.
do whatever you want to.
Depending on your attitude stability, yeah. And at that point in the game, if it's your first playthrough, your attitude stability can only be so high, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
if you decide to max out your attitude stability, you're compromising on like AP health. You're compromising on a bunch of other things too, weight, energy,
Like
all that stuff. So.
I rocked the spider because I love those in Armor Core. I had to give it up. Like I didn't have the HP to just kind of tank. And even though the spider legs are really good at jumping in the air and hovering, like they could stay there and hover, he was just like, bro, you're not gonna win this air battle.
Yeah, because you're a
beating
big
me at it."
target. You're not that mobile.
And I don't have the thrusters to stay airborne. You don't have the thrusters at that stage to stay airborne. So I went the chicken legs too. I went the bent legs, and I'm just hopping.
Yeah,
I'm just
buddy
hopping.
hopping, man.
I'm just like, and I never learned how to dodge the missiles correctly. I would dodge the first wave and just consign myself that I'm getting hit with the second. But my strat was just hyper aggressive. So I had the bubble gun. I would go for the first stun, and I would try to stun him again before he reactivated his plasma. If you're fast enough, you can get 2 stuns before the game is like, no, he's gonna turn. So that was my strat. I try every time I tried to do that.
That's where I was hard headed. That's where it was like I don't want to use this bubble gun. Like I didn't want to do it, so I just
didn't use it either. I tried
used
it
two
once. And I was like,
rifles.
nah.
I was able to get double stuns because that's at that point I would unload like all the missiles and everything once I got the shield down. But like I didn't want to use the bubble gun because like I don't want to use this one weapon for this one specific thing.
Yep,
I
I did.
really
I
don't
never
want to
used
do
it again.
Yeah, because it serves no
It's really
slight
only
spoiler.
for breaking
It
shields.
really doesn't do anything, and it's like
Well, not for nothing. It's not like it does the rapid fire. The fire rate is so high on that gun. You could do some crazy damage,
Like,
but the fucking the ammo count is so
ain't that
low
great either.
that it doesn't. It's not worth it.
I think it's again the way I fought Balteus. It was a mid-range fight, mid to close range. So at that point, the distance was fine for the bubble gun, and you know the bubble gun's it's a funky gun. I'm not gonna lie, but it's just like because it just overwhelms you with bubbles. It does small amounts of damage, but it racks up real quick.
Like it rivals the Gatling gun, as far as like.
I love the Gatling gun.
You know,
oh my god.
You would, because that's a
only
meta
like
weapon too.
But it's like
Oh, it
only
is? I didn't know that.
It is.
2 places you see it. Rusty has the freaking bubble gun, and some not story.
Sula? You talking about Sula?
Sula.
Oh,
Yeah,
it is
the guy you fight right before Balteus.
I thought it was Rusty because.
Rusty has it too. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I forgot about the other person then.
Yeah,
That's
he
what
gave
I'm
me
saying
issues
before.
in the arena. Yeah.
Sula,
that's
he's
right.
the guy
Yeah,
you
yeah,
fight
yeah,
right
yeah.
before Balteus, which is the designer's way of saying, "Hey, stupid, you should probably use this gun."
Yeah, but it's that, and then it's like some unmanned freaking machines that don't really play any importance, but they make them a big deal for like 5 minutes.
I'm trying to think. That's the only times I encountered the bubble. There might have been another time, and I'm just.
Only in the arena, that would have been it. The arena's the only time I can think of.
I don't
I mean,
know.
maybe in the new game missions because I have to do new game plus and new game plus. Maybe.
I encountered a shield again, but
Well, not the
definitely
shield, the
not
bubble,
there.
the bubble gun.
Oh, the bubble
uses.
gun? No.
It's only before that fight, and I know Rusty has it, but the unmanned machines that you have to deal with.
They have it? Oh man. Oh.
Yeah, it's
Maybe.
one of them has it.
I don't remember, but I can believe it though because I remember seeing it a few times. But by the time I've seen it again, it's just like okay, like I'm so like I have access to so many different tools that it was inconsequential at that point.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
I mean,
Were you gonna say something?
No, I was gonna say it's just I feel like the bigger problem was people didn't want to change what they were doing, and it was also like being forced to which I don't know why this is new. This is like every freaking From Software game where you have to freaking pay attention and learn what's going on with the boss more than just trying to overpower them. Like the overpowering part comes after you figured out what it is that it's trying to do to you and how you can respond to it properly.
A funny thing was, I think a lot of people who aren't used to these type of games, because let's be real, how many mech games come out in the grand scheme of things? Very few. A lot of people were saying, I was like reading forums and not, to pass the time, and once you sift through this game's trash, this shit is garbage, game is garbage, fucking Starfield's better, blah blah blah. Once you shift all that, it's like a lot of people had issues with the HUD. Like they said the HUD was really confusing, and they couldn't. I think it wasn't confusing because I see your face. I don't think it was confusing. I think it was because they had
It was
issues
different.
tracking.
It was
I
different.
was
Yeah.
gonna say,
It's
I
a
think
lot
it's
going on in terms
I
of
think it's
like,
confusing to them because there's so little vary. If you,
Right.
I
Yeah.
know those people didn't play old Armor Core games more than likely because if you
Well,
play like the
yeah.
old Armor Core games, like the HUD is there's a lot more going on in the HUD
They're like,
than
yeah.
here. It's very minimalist in this game compared to older games.
Yeah, because there's no like, well, I mean, there is the number for your HP, but it's not big. It's like in the corner, and you
Yeah.
do see your thrust bars in the bottom. And what I
Yeah.
really appreciated that I didn't notice until regrettably after Balteus is that depending on how many shoulder weapons you have, gun weapons, those little bars are on your crosshair.
Yes.
So when
yeah,
you're
that's what I was gonna
yeah,
say. Like, it's really hard to see depending upon with that specifically, like how much your ammo is. It's really hard to see when you're like in crazy situations where you got to manage everything. From
but the thing is, you could always see it though because it's on your crosshair, which you're looking at constantly. Unless your TV's further away from you, I can kind of
The game
understand
also
that.
tells
That's
you.
true,
When
but
you're
then you got the
50% ammo, they tell you. 30% ammo, they tell you. So
Yeah,
like
but
the
like
game
when
also
like
tells
yeah,
well,
like when
no,
your guns are reloading, right? You see the red bar charging
Huh?
up.
Yeah.
That's how you know. Oh, I can't shoot my missiles because they're currently
you on the
reloading.
cooldown. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
do see that, but like it for me personally, like when you're gauged in battle and like you're locked onto a target, I'm not really paying attention to like all those little bars. I'm looking at the what's like directly in front of me, which is the enemy. So it's really hard to kind of pinpoint those things. And another thing that could be an issue too is the size of your TV as well. Because if you have like a big TV, some of those things, some portions of the HUD is really hard to like gauge because you're looking up, you're looking down, left, right. So I mean that's more of a personal problem. But in regards to like the ammo, like managing that, it I think it takes a little like focus, a little more focus
Right.
than
Yeah, like
everything
I
else.
like to me like the level of attention I had to give it was flicking my eyes quickly downwards and going, "Oh,
Mm.
you're on cooldown." Okay, and then pay attention. But people were having a lot of problems with it. I just think it's because they were not accustomed to this type of game at
Well,
all.
I shouldn't be doing this because I normally wouldn't. I would also throw in that maybe it's because certain things are different. So like for energy weapons, you could keep shooting, but it's going to overheat.
Yes,
But the only
correct.
way to know that it's overheating is if you look at that bar as it's rising up on the crosshair. Like it doesn't
Right.
show you on the bottom. Like on the bottom, it just shows it like it's ammo. It's like, oh, you're just using ammo. So at some point, you'll stop shooting the laser weapons, and it's like, well, why aren't you shooting anymore? I see I have ammo, but it's because it's too hot. So I
You're
could,
right. You're right. Yeah.
and if you do, which I never did because you have the monster hunter effect of just standing still for some reason. Like if you charge your gun to do like the burst fire or a charge shot, like you'll just that will also overheat the weapon. So if you do that, that will also kind of mess with you because it's just like the gun just stops working for a couple of seconds for
I
And it
like
think that
auto
also
no
depends
fires.
on your build.
It
yeah
auto fires, so like you can't even hold the charge for too long either. So you got to really
yeah
like pick and choose when you're gonna do that and when you're gonna execute it.
that,
Mm.
which
Yeah.
would be nice if I did it while well I could do it while moving if I'm like on the literal tank builds, but everything else kind of well maybe the spider legs too, but the other legs don't. They stand there.
I
Yeah.
think if you have, I think if you have the heavy build, like you will be able to move whilst firing.
Yeah, and that's another thing that I saw a lot of people complaining about. It's like, oh, when I shot my bazooka, my armor core had to brace itself and shoot, and it's like, yeah, but you're using chicken arms.
Okay,
It's
well
like,
those motherfuckers is
like,
dumb. I don't like the fucking the pose that I'm doing because I've charged a gun because even if you play the animation, they do it like they hold the gun up, the gun opens up, it does all this stuff, and then they make a cool pose, and I'm like, motherfucker, shoot! Like,
yeah,
what
but
are you
like
doing? Shoot!
people would like this
But
goes
yeah,
back to your like they don't want to switch their build because the heavy arms look stupid. It's like, oh, okay, I guess, but like,
but
come on.
but are the stats helping you?
Yeah, but I want to rock 2 double bazookas. Why does my armor core almost blow its arms off when I shoot? Because you
It's
got
like
skinny arms. Like it's like the real world.
exactly like you can't support this weight. I don't know what to tell you, homie.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, if it's one thing you take away from this conversation, those that are listening, it's a game like Armor Core is not a game where you can just kind of. It's not like Monster. It's like Monster Hunter in many ways, but it's not like Monster Hunter in the sense that okay, I picked this weapon. The game is well designed enough, and the weapons are well designed enough to where I could beat any monster with any weapon, right? It's not that. Like there are mashups. There are clear
Yes,
advantages and
exactly.
disadvantages with using certain builds combined with certain weapons and vice versa. So you have to be adaptable. Like
Yeah.
there was another streamer that I watch every now and again, and he was obsessed with the power bunker, which I like the weapon too. I only used it against the spider boss. That's what I beat him with, but because the spider's like so huge, such a big hitbox, and like if you're close enough to him, he doesn't really move, or he can't really
Yeah.
dodge the fucking spike, the drill. So like I fucked him up with that thing, and that was a lot of fun. But like when you're fighting faster, piloted
Oh, you'll whiff
ACs,
a lot.
you're
Yeah.
not
Even
hitting that shit.
even
So
if you didn't want to whiff, like you don't
you're
move
whiffing,
with
you're
the thing.
whiffing. Like
Like
yeah,
you just
and
don't
you
move
stay
forward at all
still.
like the other stuff.
Yeah, it's not like a big dash or anything like that. It's not a burning knuckle
Yeah,
or
it's
nothing like
not
that.
it's not like the
It's
freaking the trailer where they're dashing all the way across the field and then
no,
fucking
no.
power bunker somebody in the face. You don't do that.
So anyway, this guy was like hell bent. Like he was like, "This is my main weapon. I'm never taking this off." And this is like that's the wrong mentality to have with this game. You're only gonna frustrate yourself.
It's
I
it's
mean,
it's
you
absolutely the
can
wrong. Oh, go
do
ahead.
that. No, I was gonna say you could do that, but at that point you have to like I've mastered this game.
You
So
have,
now
No,
yeah,
because
yeah.
here's the
Yeah,
thing,
which
right?
wasn't the
Like,
case.
well, here's the thing, right? Like, of course, there are certain advantages and disadvantages to putting certain parts on, right? But you, as the pilot, you have to make up for that. If you know definitively that this thing has a huge hindrance in certain situations, then it's up to you as the pilot to know when to use it. Like, for example, me having to be stationary due to the fact that I'm using the grenade launcher because my arms can't really support moving around with firing that gun. How I used it was I would wait for moments where I would stagger the enemy because there's a brief moment where they're just stationary and then fire that shot. Or I would read the enemy enough to know, okay, they're about to use their super move. Let me fire this off real quick and then move out the way. Like that's how I use the disadvantages to my advantage because I knew how my gun worked. I knew what it couldn't do. And me as the pilot, I maneuvered around its flaws. Like that's the name of the game with Armor Core. If you're gonna use the what the hell you call it, the bunker shot or whatever it's
Power
called,
bunker.
the
Yeah.
power
Power
bunker.
yeah, okay, the power bunker. If you're gonna utilize that, you just got to know when to use it. Have something that staggers the enemy, or you have something that fires consistently to deal damage for a stagger, and then hit them with the power bunker. Or just know when the enemy is about to, do an attack that causes you to like have an opportunity to punish them for whatever stationary attack they might do.
I hear what
That's
Yeah,
you're
it.
but
saying, but there are
yeah,
clear mismatches when it comes to certain
Oh
weapons
yeah,
and
of
certain
course.
enemy types. The power bunker is just one of those weapons. Listen, I love the stun baton. The stun baton was so much fun, but like there was so many fights where I was, especially like in the arena, for example, when it's just like a one-on-one encounter, where they would just dash back. They're, oh, you're using the stun baton?
Oh
Oh
my
no,
god,
you're
you
not hitting
have
me.
no
You're not hitting
idea
me.
how
You're not hitting me.
much.
That shit is fucking infuriating. So it's like,
Hell
okay,
yeah.
I have to stop using this. Like I cannot use this against
Because
this
when
guy.
you first talked about the stuff, I was like, all right, I'll give it a try. And that's exactly what happened. Like, this is a piece of crap. I don't want this. I'm going back to my blade.
yeah, because they don't. There is no stun locking. Like the stun baton has a 3-hit combo unless you charge it. There is no stun locking, so you can be hitting with the second one, the second hit, and then the
They
enemy
could
pilot is
just
like, you
dash
know
back.
what? I don't want to be in this combo anymore. Bye.
Yeah. Yeah, which
Like,
which is like I was saying earlier, like that does not happen for you. For you, like once you get staggered, you just give
oh,
up on life. You just
Oh
stand there
yeah,
like
like oh yeah. I was telling you guys about this earlier. Like, so with one of my builds, since I got rid of the blade, I felt as though I can utilize one of my chips to be able to do the kick. the kick was so useless for me. Like, and just the inputs where you have to use L3 and then you have to use you have to press down L3. It was like so situational, so annoying. So I dropped it. But when I was in the arena, these assholes was using it consistently, catching me with it, and I was just stunned the hell out. So I was like, what am I doing wrong?
Hitting you with that Gurren Lagann drop kick, that robot drop kick.
I
Oh,
hate.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I hated it so much. So I mean,
that's the beautiful thing about a game like this. Is like everything is viable depending
Just
on
gotta
your
know how to use
preference,
it.
your play style, your build. Like there's so many factors that go into it, which is I think we were talking before the recording started, but like I think Gunnar mentioned like they wanted to do like competitive like Armor Core tournaments or whatever. I would watch the fuck out of that,
Yeah,
like because
that would
it's
be
just
so
such an
interesting.
entertaining. Like the game is already, despite some opinions online, the game I think is gorgeous. I think the game is beautiful to look at, right?
Yeah.
But the fighting and like they obviously spent a lot of time on the combat, like perfecting the combat, making it satisfying and fun to watch and just enjoyable from a spectator standpoint and a player standpoint. That watching like a competitive Armor Core tournament, oof, like there's so many different guns and different builds and different combinations that like I think that'll be really entertaining. So to take it back to what you were saying, the kick, while for you and me is useless. I didn't buy the kick until just last night when I had like max OS chips. I was like, all right, I guess I'll buy it because I want the trophy.
hmm
But like for some players, it's like the kick is like their melee. Like I don't have a
Yeah.
sword, so
Yeah.
like I use the kick as the melee. As
That's
my
what I
melee
wanted,
option.
but then I couldn't execute it in the fashion that the enemies were able to do it. So I it was two things I could have either do, like learn how to effectively utilize it or just drop it ultimately. So I'll probably revisit it later since I dropped it to get a better understanding of how to use it. And just by watching them use it, because what they did was they would stun me. First of all, I've only seen fast builds actually use it. Um,
Oh no, the tank will do it to you. It doesn't look like a kick
The
because
tank just
obviously it's a
runs
tank.
you over. It just
Yeah,
oh,
guns for you.
it hasn't done that to
you
me
probably haven't gotten to a
yet.
guy in the arena yet, but that motherfucker just kept trying to run me over. I'm like, yo, I can't move. Stop it.
Oh, I don't know because right now I think I'm on the rank to B. I'm on the road to B mission to become rank B, I
All right,
think.
you'll get there. Or if you care about the battle logs, there's a guy you have to fight that's in a tank. So you'll
I
get to it.
fought one of them. He has like the little triangular tracks for the tank. Like it's a small because you have
No,
the
no, this
regular
this
like
this, this, this is a big boy. He it's not the small. I know which ones you're talking about,
okay.
but no, this is a big
That's
dude.
that Professor X shit, the one that you're talking about.
Oh
Esoteric.
my god. I
You know,
hated that one because he was all the way across the other map. I was like, where is he? He
I
came
want to
out of
build
nowhere
one of
just
those. It looks so much fun. It's just like this
they
little
do. They
fucking
do.
thing just zipping. It's like woo.
It's like Wally kicking my ass. I'm like, what is going
It
on
really
here?
is.
I think his name is Candlestick, right?
Yes.
Candlestick.
Candlestick.
You
Yeah.
fucking lit
He
my
he
ass
was a
up like
fun
a
fight.
candle.
Him and there was another one. I think he was called shit. Not debug. I think it was something else. Um
Was it Tank
his
Boss?
emblem no. His emblem was like two people fused together and he had like different compartments. I forgot his name though. Um
The only
damn.
one that's coming to mind is Snail, because I know Snail has like the four
It's not
No,
faces.
not
Snail, but
Snail.
I
he's
think I know
part
who
of
you're
the
talking
group.
about. I think it's a
Yeah.
Vesper guy. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think so.
he's one of them.
He's definitely a Vesper guy, but I think his name was like basically his name was defined him as being able to change parts. Like I forgot his name though, but whatever. He was annoying as shit too. His name will come to me later.
Well, with that being said, you guys have any final thoughts? Before we wrap it up.
Good. No.
Nah, get filtered.
I mean, people got filtered. I mean, look, this game is not going to be for everybody. There are multiple reasons why people would dislike the game. I get it. It's not for everybody. I love the game. We don't get a lot of mech games, so this is my mech game for a long time. Just, I guess, moral of the story or my little 2 cents is don't be afraid to experiment. I mean, some of these parts might not be visually pleasing, but you kind of have to get over it. And me, a guy I'm personally really invested in something looks, how my Armored Core looks. I've had to learn to kind of get over that. And this part might look dumb to me, but it gives me what I need, and I have to use it. So just like, don't be afraid to experiment. Try out all the guns, or go meta. Pick, which way, Armored Core gamer, choose. But don't be afraid to experiment, because you might find something that you like more than what you were currently.
Yeah, I would absolutely have to agree with what Gunnar said, and to kind of piggyback on that, like it is a mech game, which means that they're not gonna have any type of glamour feature because the theme of the game is to be able to take an ensemble of different parts and make things work. It's not about the aesthetics, it's about the functionality. It's functionality over aesthetics. Like if you're driving a car, you're not gonna have small inch wheels on your car if they don't function properly. You're not going to get from point A to point B. It just doesn't make any sense. So with this game, like if you're going to use big guns, you're going to want to have big arms and big legs to be able to sustain that big gun, because this is a logic based game. It's based off of recoil. When you're shooting a gun, it has kickback. You're shooting a bigger gun, it has bigger kickback. So I understand you guys wanting to be flashy and you wanting your mech to look a certain way, but this isn't Gundam. This is real, as realistic as can be, Armor Core mechs, and they're utilizing their technology to make things work, and that's what you have to do essentially in the game. So you have to alter your way of thinking, not only with the parts that you utilize, but also alter your way of thinking when it comes to fighting enemies. Just persevere, things like that. I'm rambling on, but you get the gist of it. You guys understand where I'm coming from. Just, be good.
I'm going to be the bad guy. I'm going to tell you to do what you want, because I don't know if it's in this game or not, because I don't want to test it out. You can put on whatever you want, and it's going to tell you either energy shortage or overburden. See if they let you get out the garage.
They do
If
for
they,
overburden.
well, if they do, and your machine starts walking around like a fucking Oblivion Skyrim character who's 1 pound overweight, you know who caused the problem.
I
Yeah, it
mean,
wasn't
there's
the
a there's
game.
a skill in the game that allows you to ignore the overburden and
Yeah.
do missions with it. So
But you have to get that skill first.
true. You're not
So,
lying.
so go ahead, do what you want. Just remember,
Just
actions have
remember
consequences.
remember when you're pointing at the game, you have other fingers pointing right back at you.
That's all I'm saying. Actions have consequences, and it's your fault if the machine doesn't work. Be
This
happy
is
that it's not the old way where, oh, you failed the mission. Oh, that's okay, and we keep going on. Like
Oh,
we're in the new age of Armor Core. I mean, they stopped this a while ago. This is really like literally the first gen, where it's like, oh, you failed the mission. It happens. You're a mercenary. Sometimes you fail, and you still have to front the cost of of failing, loser. You don't have that anymore. You get to restart. I mean, you could, if you was big brain, you could just turn off the PlayStation, turn it back on, and you could still restart. However, if you didn't do that, you have to suffer the consequences.
Mm.
So,
Dude, I remember watching you play Fire Emblem on GameCube, and you just getting up every fucking 2 seconds to turn it off and turn it back on. I'm like, what are we doing right now? Every bad decision. Nope, didn't happen. Nope, didn't
yep.
happen. So funny.
and now you know why we have classic and modern, or whatever they call it in New Fire Emblem, for that
Yeah,
exact reason.
fair enough. Fair enough.
I'm just saying, I want to win. I can't win if freaking the board isn't working in my favor. So the board never happened.
Hey, I'm not even mad at it. I was just like, so, like, really? Like, I would just keep playing. But that's just me, though. That's just me being stubborn. But
I mean,
anyway.
that would work if it wasn't for the fact that people like die for reals in Fire Emblem.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Permadeath was a.
Yeah, so that's just like that's why it was a lot of no. Absolutely not. It's bad enough I have to deal with random level ups where my very clear swordsman with no magic gets magic.
Oversight on the. But either way. So my final thought is Armor Core 6. I think is a fantastic game.
Hmm
It is not like Dark Souls. It is a very different experience. It is more about combat, decision making, and building. Whereas Dark Souls is more about exploration, and it is building, but it is building in a more RPG classic sense where you're leveling characters up and you're focusing certain stats or whatever. With Armor Core, it's more about constructing a build from parts. So it's kind of like building armor in Souls games, but that's it. Like the armor is the build. Um, so if you're into that, then check it out. I think it's a great game. Hopefully, it gets the love that it deserves, and it sells well enough to
Yeah, I hope it does
allow
well.
FromSoft to continue to support it with DLC or even a sequel. I would love that personally.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So anyway, is Armor Core too hard? Absolutely not. It is not too hard. You can do it. You just simply have to adapt to the change, try new things, branch out. So, with that being said, if you enjoyed the conversation, leave a like on the video, leave a comment down below, let us know what you think. Subscribe to the channel for more content. We do podcasts every single week. We publish every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern. So, subscribe so that you're notified when those episodes go live. We talk about a variety of different topics, from topics like this, where our game's too hard, or topics about the industry, topics about our personal experiences and our, in our gaming lives, so to speak. We do like top 10 videos. We talk about music that we really like. There's a variety of topics. We have over 100 episodes already posted, and we post every week, and we continue to plan to do so moving into the future. We also have other content as well. So we have 2-minute reviews, gameplay videos, opinion pieces, unboxings, a bunch of different stuff that you can check out and enjoy. We also have different social medias as well. So we're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. We also have Discord. All the links are in the description down below, so check that out if you're interested. Any articles that we referenced during this conversation will also be in the links below, so if you want to read that stuff, you are welcome to do so. Check out Mr.Esoteric on the main channel. He's on Twitch TV from 2 to 3 times a week. He usually streams every Monday and Friday. Sometimes on Wednesday, he streams a variety of topics from a variety of games, rather, from AAA to indie to retro to party games. He plays a little bit of everything. So definitely check him out, give him a follow, show the channel some love. So with that being said, we'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Take care.
Get filtered.
Till next time.